You, University of Texas?
Yeah.
You make a student film, so to speak, what, an 18-minute short?
Mm-hmm.
What we affectionately call battle rockets around here, what you call bottle rockets, so we'll give you the benefit of the doubt that it is in fact bottle rocket. You made 18 minutes and you showed it to somebody, and I guess it was Jim Brooks who saw it at Sundance or somewhere and said...
Yeah, well, what actually happened was we had the movie, we took it to Sundance, and nothing happened at Sundance. Then this producer, Polly Platt, who worked for Jim Brooks,
right.
She saw it, and she saw a tape of it and our script. She brought it to Jim, and Jim saw it, and nobody wanted to have anything to do with this. And Jim saw it and read it, and it's always a shock to me when somebody can just look at something and they don't care about what, I mean, so much of stuff in the movie business is people reacting to what other people want, you know, what bidding wars and all that stuff. And this was one guy, the only guy once it saying, we're going to do this. And that's the same with Bill. You know, Bill just read this script cold, and he made all his own decisions about it. And, you know, when Brooks and Polly Platt got involved, that sort of just set us up to work in the movies. You
know what else can happen, too, and I'm sure this must have happened at some point. Somebody, you can do something, and somebody can get it, and they can see something that they know is really good. And while they know, somebody might come in the room and say, that is the worst 18 minutes I've ever seen. And they're saying, yeah, I understand what's wrong with the film, but did you see this? And anybody who can do this has a real gift, and we can take that and grow it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This is a clip called Can't Do It, Max. Tell me a little bit about Max, because he's an interesting character.
Well, Max is this kid who, this was like the center of the movie for us. The reason we wrote the movie was because we came up with this character, me and my co-writer, Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
And he is this kid who, he runs everything in this school. He goes to a prep school called Rushmore. He's founded all these clubs and societies, kind of runs everything. He puts on, a big part of it is he puts on these big giant plays, like he's done an adaptation of Serpico that he's putting on these, he's done like a big Vietnam play. These things are like very influenced by TV and movies. And but he's also a horrible student. He's on the verge of getting kicked out, and he's on scholarship, which he lies about and tells people his father's a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, and he's also applying to Oxford with Harvard as a fallback,
safety.
As a safety fallback.
Right, right.
How much of this in your head is you?
I don't really think of it that way. I mean, I think
there are parallels.
There are parallels, yeah. I mean, for me and Owen, my co-writer, both. The stuff we draw, like the school where we filmed is my school, and the plays that he puts on.
Your school in Houston.
Yes, my school in Houston. That's where we shot it. And the plays that he puts on are sort of inspired by some plays I put on when I was very young. But other than that, it's more like, I think, if I had seen this movie when I was 15 years old, that would have been my movie. That would have been it would have changed me.
Yeah.
It would have been because I think it's like a role model for. It's like a kid who, it shows you a way to be heroic and still be a horrible student and get rejected from all your schools and fail in all kinds of ways, but succeed in other ways. And I didn't really have an idea of how to kind of do that. And I was going to get rejected, and I was going to do terribly. So.
Roll tape here. Explain this to me. I mean, he seems like the way he talks is a smart kid.
Right. Yeah.
But he's failing.
He's a smart kid. I think he's deeply disturbed in a lot of ways. And he's also probably one of those kids who's very verbal, but he probably will never be able to do math, you know? He's one of those kind of people.
This relationship between you and Owen Wilson, what's this collaboration about? I mean, you seem to be joined at the hip.
Yeah, well, Owen and I have been friends for about 10 years, and we went to school together, and our whole sort of, however long we've been working and doing movies and everything, has been together. And I just sort of feel like there's nobody else. I know my work is going to be better if I'm writing with him, and I've never met anybody who I would want to write with. And I feel like our sort of sensibility and our sense of humor is so similar. The things that we're attracted to in characters and stories and behavior and things are just so close that it just seems like, you know, I just am lucky. I feel I'm lucky, you know, I'm lucky to have him.
All right. Oh, just one more time, take a look at one other clip from this film called Want Me to Grab a Dictionary. This is the infamous, in this movie, Miss Cross, who Max has his eye on, and so does Bill Murray's character. Take a look.
Max? Mm-hmm. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Has it ever crossed your mind that you're far too young for me?
It crossed my mind that you might consider that a possibility, yeah?
Quite apart from the fact that if you're a student...
I'm not trying to pressure you into anything, Miss Cross. I'm surprised you brought it up so bluntly.
I just want to make sure...
We've become friends, haven't we?
Yes.
Good.
And,
The truth is, neither one of us had the slightest idea where this relationship is going. We can't predict the future.
we don't have a relationship, Max.
But we're friends.
Yes, and that's all we're going to be.
That's all I meant by relationship. You want me to grab a dictionary?
You and Wilson write this together? How does the collaboration work in terms of the process of writing?
Well, the way we usually work is we start out just talking, and usually we're traveling or something like that, and we're talking about the characters and telling stories. You know, we both have 100 stories that we know of each other, you know, and then we have stories of things that happened to us together, people that we've kind of watched, and that stuff all starts to kind of mix together and we talk. And then we start just writing on little scraps of paper, which we trade back and forth. And I'll write something out, and then I'll get it back from Owen, and he'll have big X's through it, and things scribbled, and we rewrite each other's stuff. And then eventually I start typing it. The bad thing is, like if Owen gives me something and I type it, if I don't like part of it, I just don't type it. I just erase it. But if I give Owen something, he just puts an X through it, which is so much more aggressive and seems so much ruder than just erasing it.
Are these defining personality traits?
The defining personality trait is that I have learned to type and he hasn't. I think.
You have to write your own scripts? I mean, so far, everything you've made, you've written.
Yeah.
It's two.
Right, it's two. But so I haven't read anything that felt. I mean, these are pretty personal movies. Like this movie, Rushmore, is very personal to me and Owen.
What does that mean, personal?
It's got so many little things that connect to our own lives. You know, the characters come so much from people that we've known and from little aspects of ourselves. And the setting is so familiar to us. And then there's sort of thematic stuff that's personal to us. And I just don't think there's any way that I would find a script that would mean as much to me.
You say thematic stuff that's personal to us. What do you mean?
I mean, like, the kid that the movie's about is someone who, he doesn't try, you know, like in high school, one of the central things is to be cool.
Yeah.
And this is a kid who's not cool at all, but he has his own ideas of the way he wants to be, things he wants to kind of accomplish. And he has this great enthusiasm for those things and this kind of drive about it and a resilience. And I sort of kind of, that's something that means something to us. I mean, I like people who are kind of unusual characters and kind of originals. And
do we think Max is going to be successful in life?
I think he's like headed for Broadway or something, you know?
Do
he's
we?
going to like hook up with Mike Nichols or somebody like that. He'll become a protege of someone, and he'll.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of Mike Nichols, he's a hero.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, I've loved a number of his. You know, I've loved lots of his movies, and somehow The Graduate is a movie that Owen and I have gotten into our consciousness in a way where whenever we write a script, we end up feeling like we just stole 100 things from The Graduate, and we can't point out what they are. But we feel like there's like some sort of tonal thing or something. It's just like, it just seems to be a part of it. And then there is stuff that I have overtly stolen also.
Overtly?
Yeah.
What's the best example of that?
Well, there's a scene where Bill Murray is having his twin sons, who he despises, are having it's their birthday party. In the middle of the birthday party, he climbs up on the high dive and does a cannonball into the swimming pool. And he stays underwater by himself. And there's just sort of a lonely moment of him all by himself in the swimming pool, which is, you know, there's a scene in The Graduate where Dustin Hoffman is in. His parents give him a wetsuit, scuba diving thing, and he's just by himself at the bottom of the pool, and that's what's funny.
Who else? Anybody else in your pantheon of heroes that are directors that sort of make this?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, a guy who I keep thinking about is Polanski, who...
Roman Polanski?
Roman Polanski.
Because of what film?
A lot of it is because of Rosemary's Baby and the way he shot it, because it's a movie where it's a horror movie, but the performances are all totally real, and it's also sort of a comedy, and there's a sort of strange, it's just a little off from reality. You know, the behavior is all real, but there's something about everything in the movie that feels like just a little off, which is kind of setting you up for the fact that eventually it's going to go crazy.
I thank you very much, Wes.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Charlie.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.